Inspiration Wednesday time again, and I am going to tape up my spine. I don't know about your book. My book is deliciously thick and stick outs and texture, and I love it when it gets like that. Absolutely love it. So let's see if I tape these up, and then I'll come back for a little gessoing. A little gessoing because I never put a little bit on there, but let's get some gesso on there and gesso this puppy up. So you know those bits and pieces of stuff that you keep? So like tags that I've used just the bottoms over the tops of, like ripped up thing. That one's kind of dirty. I've got pieces of other tags. So I'm thinking I'm going to collage all of these in here using some gel medium. So my brush is still pretty gesso-y. I only kind of rinsed it real quick. And I may have to get more things. This is just gonna hold me over to start. I'm using regular gel medium because it's thicker. It's going to hold something like a manila tag a lot better. And I'm not going to even think about what I'm doing with these. I'm gonna put it underneath, I'm gonna put it over. I wanna get them flush so they're embedded, but I'm not really thinking about design. I'm just kind of going in here, and like I said, I'm starting with this, but I'm just going to time lapse, and doesn't mean I'm not going to go grab something weird or something else while I'm doing it, or more tags or more different size tags, because I do have severals. So severals, clearly severals. All right, so I'll just keep going and time lapse and see where we end up. Weather's like where you live, but anytime I use gel medium, anytime, my pages stick together. So I'm just until I get some more medias on there, like some acrylic paint or whatever I decide to do, I usually will sit things like this just because it's not quite cured. I sometimes will even do this and let it sit overnight, and if I can't come up with a good idea, I might just walk away from this and come back tomorrow. But what's scary about this is that I could leave it like this and walk away happy. I know, as silly as it sounds, like that right there. Numbers, tags, black and white, contrast, makes me happy. Maybe even going in with a little bit of white and kind of maybe with a palette knife. I don't know, I'm gonna kind of walk away and take a little look at this and then come back. All right, so my first inclination is to go in with some gesso and a palette knife. Now I often use gesso, like white paint, 90% of the time, because really, I buy gesso like this size and I buy white paint smaller, and it just, it gives me that opacity and the coverage that I want, so I just do it. And it's also very texturized, which I'm usually looking for anyway. So I just have the palette knife with some on there. I'm gonna scuff as kind of around the edges and just see where it lands. This is not gonna be like, oh my God, mind blowing, but it will get me to the next step. And I have been so in love with blacks and whites lately. I'm just going to play around with how this lays down, how much texture I can get. I do like the numbers, but I want it not to look exactly like, look, she put tags on a page. So maybe I might even end up doing a couple layers of a palette knife over this, or, you know, painting with a brush. But for some reason, when I use a palette knife, I get the more natural kind of, not a brush stroke, but just these placements of color, or white. So I'm just going to do that and see where that lands me, and then once I go once through all this, I'll kind of come back and revisit. I'm gonna go with that makes me incredibly happy. Like, honestly, I could leave this. That is happiness to me, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna push it, but I just don't know what it is I want. I'm half tempted to put like joint compound, like a thin layer of joint compound on it, or maybe some super heavy gesso to get some more texture, and then to glaze on top of it, which is kind of where I'm at. But this isn't really dry yet, and I'm just kind of thinking. The easiest thing would be to put some super heavy gesso. It'd be 1, 2, 3. You can even put modeling paste on it. I could even, I could stencil. I'm gonna go get a stencil. I'll be back. So I always go back to numbers. I love this stencil, this and the larger one. I had to make a smaller one because I love the larger one. So I think just adding a little bit of light molding paste. I like the light because it dries a little bit quicker. And just like in sections, just because I can. Yay! Fully dry now. I'm thinking, what do I go in over it with? And of course I went teal and raw umber and quinacridone nickel gold, and then I was like, you know, what about just yellow ochre? Why not try it? I don't really know what I'm gonna get, but I don't, like I said, I love it like this. So if I love it like this, I'm certainly gonna love it with something else on it, right? So I'm just gonna make a little glaze here. Let's see if I'm on camera. And I'll just put a little yellow ochre, some acrylic glazing that I just took apart. Should be like 50-50-ish. And I'm just gonna put it all over, wait a minute, then take it off, and hopefully I like it. Give it a minute, maybe a little more than a minute, and I'll take my baby wipes and just wipe it back. All right, I loved it so much that I kind of felt like maybe I took more than I wanted to off here because I like this a lot and even that. So I'm just gonna take some of the stuff I still have here. And this is not dried by any means. I just kind of turned the camera off and then looked at it and was like, more. So I'll let this sit for another minute or so and then I'll wipe that back. And hopefully I have something a little darker, but I am in love with this. All right, so yellow ochre could be enough, right? Because that, again, fantastic. But I see your yellow ochre and I'm gonna raise you one burnt sienna because I don't use this very often and I like the color. I just end up going with raw umber. So why don't I go with the whole thing of, hey, maybe if I use this time, I might love it and add it more often. So make another glaze, because you can glaze like 4,000 times on top of, you know, forever. I don't even want to put a limit on it. You can infinity times. So my brush is still a little dirty, but I'm just gonna go for it, and maybe not all over, maybe just where the numbers are. Or maybe all over, whatever. I like there's little nuances here that I know is gonna catch a glaze, like these little strings and anything that's texturized, so I am kind of putting it there, but yeah, let's just see what we get. Maybe it'll make the most fabulous color ever. And I will say, what I do know is if you have teal and patina, sometimes you can get, not patina, teal and ochre, you can get a really cool patina look. So if you want to try those, maybe I'll try that after this. All right, I'll wait a minute and then I'll wipe this back. All right, so let's wipe that back. All right, so because I said it, let's just add some teal, right? Like, it might be gross or it might be fantastic. So I've made a little wash here. I am gonna clean my brush off just a little bit more because it's pretty skanky. And let's just go into my little glaze here. All right, so let's wipe this back and see what we get. What's really kind of cool about that is that that burnt sienna gave it like a little coppery looking kind of feel, and then just the subtle little bits of teal. Well, you know, of course that makes me happy, but it does look patina. So at any point along the way, you totally could have stopped, or you can still keep going. For me, that teal made me happy, so I'm going to stop there. And I'm just going to add a brown hole on this because that textural look of it and the little bits of color and the text coming through there is really that bit of happiness I need. So I'm going to go in here with it. Today's the 14th, October 14th. Let's tear this guy off. And I don't need to ink or anything this because it looks like it belongs already on there. Do I want to cover up that? I'll just do that. 1, 2, 3. Well, that is it. Inspiration Wednesday is finished for this week. I really do love this guy. And he's still a little wet. I might need to let him dry, but I definitely will put wax on him when it's done. See you next time.